In the middle of the jungle, a hunter hides, setting a trap to hunt a strange bird. Seeing this dream, Peter suddenly wakes up. Yes, his name is Peter. His wife's name is Carol. Strangely, at the exact same time, Carol also wakes up screaming in fear after seeing a terrifying nightmare. It is heard that Carol and Peter are not residents of this place. They leave their city far behind and come to live in this deserted area. Something tragic happens to them in the past. Peter is a psychotherapist by profession, meaning he treats people suffering from mental illnesses. Every day after finishing his patient sessions, Peter leaves his chamber and goes to spend time at the chamber of his friend Duncan, who is also a psychiatrist. From their conversations, it becomes clear that all the patients Peter is currently treating are referred to him by Duncan. Since Peter leaves the city and comes here, hardly anyone knows him, so Dr. Duncan sends his mental patients to Peter for treatment. While talking about the past, Peter eventually reveals that he loses his only daughter, Evie, in an accident. He blames himself for the tragic incident that happens to his daughter. One day, he takes Evie out to teach her how to ride a bicycle. Near the road, Peter notices something in a shop. He sees something so shocking that he freezes on the spot. In that moment, Evie rides her bicycle into the middle of the road, and a bus coming from the opposite direction hits her. Evie dies on the spot. From that day on, their happy family life is completely shattered. After losing their daughter, both husband and wife become deeply depressed. One day, Duncan asks Peter about the accident. He asks if Peter remembers why his daughter dies and what he sees in that shop that day. Peter becomes strangely absent-minded. Sometimes, when a terrible accident happens to us, our brain intentionally starts erasing those memories to help us survive. In English, this is called a coping mechanism. Peter thinks maybe the same thing happens to him. What exactly he sees in that shop that makes him stop, he simply cannot remember. He has no host memory of it at all, but the mystery does not end there. That is only the beginning. All the patients who come to Peter for treatment have some kind of connection to the year 1987, meaning the 1980s. Sometimes a patient arrives wearing clothes that do not look modern at all. They seem like people straight out of the 80s. Their manners, behavior, everything feels old-fashioned. One day after Peter finishes seeing all his patients, his chamber becomes completely empty. Suddenly, someone rings the bell. Peter goes outside and sees a school-going girl standing there. She is wearing a school uniform and holding a doll. Although Peter is surprised to see the girl alone, he brings her inside the chamber. Strangely, the girl does not speak at all. No matter how much Peter asks her, "What is your name? Where do you come from? Who are you with?" the girl remains silent. Instead, she shows him a train ticket. Written on it is the name Elizabeth Valentine. Even the ticket looks very old. Peter assumes the girl might be mute, so he gives her a notebook and a pencil to write. But something strange happens. Elizabeth stares intensely at the notebook and pencil. After a few moments, the pencil placed on the notebook starts moving on its own. Peter looks at the girl in shock and thinks to himself that she might have psychokinesis, the ability to move objects using mental power and focus. While Peter is thinking this, a train suddenly passes by the railway track next to his chamber at high speed. Hearing the loud train noise, Elizabeth becomes extremely frightened. As Peter gets up to close the window, he sees Elizabeth run out of the chamber and disappear. Peter cannot understand why the sound of a simple train terrifies her so much. After Elizabeth leaves, Peter notices something written in the notebook she uses. She writes the numbers 12787. The mystery deepens. The next day, while leaving after seeing patients, Peter realizes he forgets to take something, so he returns to the chamber. He then sees Elizabeth's doll lying there. He quickly unlocks and opens the chamber door, and to his shock, Elizabeth is inside the chamber again. Peter is stunned because he locks the door himself before leaving. How does Elizabeth get inside a locked room? Peter asks her how she enters the locked chamber, but strange sounds come out of Elizabeth's mouth. She looks terrified, as if she wants to say many things, but no sound comes from her throat. Elizabeth suddenly slams her hand against the window. Then it looks like an invisible force grabs her throat, trying to choke her. Once again, a train roars past the chamber. Elizabeth collapses onto the floor. Peter rushes to help her and goes to get medicine, but when he turns back, Elizabeth suddenly vanishes. The next morning, Peter tells everything to Duncan. Duncan says that except for the doll, everything sounds unreal to him. Then Duncan asks Peter to think carefully. He reminds him that if Evie were alive, she would now be around 12 or 13 years old, just like Elizabeth. Duncan suggests that Peter might be suffering from mental illness. Maybe Peter goes through his daughter's belongings, finds the doll, and unknowingly brings it to his chamber. And the girl named Elizabeth might exist only in Peter's imagination. Duncan then points out something else. Take Elizabeth Valentine. The E from Elizabeth and the V from Valentine together make Evie the name of Peter's daughter. Peter's mind turns upside down, but it does not end there. Suddenly, Peter notices something strange in Duncan's chamber. On the wall hangs an image exactly like the dream Peter sees every night, the hunter sitting silently, setting a trap to hunt a bird. From that point on, Peter's mental condition worsens. He starts hallucinating. He sees his dead daughter, Evie, in front of his eyes. Holding Evie, Elizabeth appears in a terrifying form and says, "We have trapped her, we will not let her find peace." Peter cannot understand any of this. His daughter Evie dies long ago. They leave that city and come far away. Then why are these things happening now? The next day, while returning home by train, Peter dozes off due to the train's movement. Suddenly, he wakes up and sees that the seat in front of him, which is empty before, is now occupied by one of his patients, Erica. As Peter looks at her, Erica says, "Do you remember, Peter, when I came to you for treatment? I told you I tried many times to die, but I could not. Do you know why? Because I am already dead. How can I die again?" As soon as she says this, the train lights suddenly go out, plunging everything into darkness. Peter realizes that Erica is not human at all. With her teeth bared and face twisted, she lunges straight toward him. Within moments, the train pulls into the station and all the lights turn back on. But what happens to Peter in those last few seconds? He still cannot fully understand it. Even after getting off the train, Peter feels like he sees Erica's restless spirit chasing him. But why? Even if we assume that both Elizabeth and Erica are dead, then why do their wandering souls keep appearing in front of Peter again and again? And the most important thing to notice is that every time these spirits appear before Peter, either a train is passing by his chamber or Peter himself is inside a train. Why is that? What connection exists between Erica, Elizabeth, Peter, and the train? Peter goes to his chamber and starts investigating whether Erica is truly dead. He finds out that yes, Erica really dies, and that too a long time ago. She dies on July 12, 1987. In the same way, when Peter investigates Elizabeth, he discovers that Elizabeth also dies long ago, and her date of death is also July 12, 1987. Peter's mind seems to stop working. He keeps thinking, what exactly happens on July 12, 1987? Why are the people who die on that day coming to him, and that too as patients seeking treatment? Peter starts feeling something is terribly wrong. After coming to this town, he searches online for every patient who comes to him. He finds out that all of them are mysteriously dead. Most of them die on July 12, 1987, while some die a day or two before or after that date. That is when Peter realizes the meaning of the numbers Elizabeth writes in the notebook, 12787. The 12 means July 12. July is the 7th month, so 7, and 87 means the year 1987. Peter's mind completely collapses. Does this mean that after coming to this town, every patient he treats is actually dead? That he spends hours talking to restless spirits? Just then a train passes by and stops right in front of his chamber window. Peter sees Elizabeth and all his other dead patients staring at him coldly through the train windows. It feels like they are all trying to remind him of something. Peter cannot think anymore. All these patients are sent to him by Duncan. So Peter decides he must go to Duncan. Peter goes straight to him and asks, "Did you properly investigate the patients you referred to me?" From the other side, in a strange and cold voice, Duncan replies, "You were not that foolish, Peter. Think carefully. If I refer those restless spirits to you, then what does that prove? Am I even alive, or am I also a dead spirit?" Shocked by Duncan's words, Peter looks into the mirror and sees that Duncan has no reflection, no shadow at all. That means Duncan, whom Peter talks to all this time, is also dead. Peter then desperately tries to find out where all his dead patients used to live. He discovers that they all live around one specific place called Falls Creek Crossing, and this is the very place where Peter grows up. Even now, Peter's father, Bill, lives there. Bill is once a police sergeant. To find all the answers, Peter goes alone to Falls Creek without taking Carol with him, because he knows his father is the only one who can give him the truth. After reaching Falls Creek, Peter meets his friend Barry and tells him, "Barry, I feel that everything happening to me now, even my daughter Evie's death, is the result of the sins we commit in the past. We are young back then, but because of what we do, many people lose their lives. Barry, no one escapes sin. That's why I think we should go to the police and confess the truth." Here, it becomes clear that Peter and Barry commit a terrible sin in the past, which is revealed shortly. Peter continues, "For some time now, I keep seeing those dead people around me. Barry, maybe they want us to confess our mistake to the police." Hearing this, Barry becomes furious and says, "Have you lost your mind? That incident, that dark chapter, so many years have passed, and now you meet me and say you want to tell everything to the police." Barry refuses to agree with Peter. Disappointed, Peter goes to that place, Falls Creek Crossing. There in front of his eyes, a scene from the past starts playing like a movie. He sees that many years ago, Peter and Barry are only 14 years old. Near Falls Creek Station, they hear that some young boys and girls are secretly involved in sexual activity. In the darkness of night, they hurriedly leave their bicycles on the railway tracks and run to see what is happening. Yes, kids at that age are curious like that, but then something happens that they never imagine. They hear the terrifying sound of an approaching train. Peter and Barry suddenly remember that they leave their bicycles on the railway tracks. They run back desperately, trying with all their strength to remove the bicycles before the train arrives. But the train reaches the spot. Because two bicycles are lying on the tracks, the train derails. Almost 47 passengers inside the train die instantly. The others are severely injured and die a day or two later. Among those passengers are all of Peter's restless patients and Elizabeth as well. Now it may seem strange why Elizabeth's name is mentioned separately, but there is a reason, and the truth behind the bicycle-caused train accident is even more mysterious. That day, Peter sees all those dead bodies from very close, torn apart and covered in blood. The trauma is so severe that to escape his guilt, he slowly erases those memories from his mind. Just like he forgets the details surrounding his daughter's death, he pushes this incident out of his mind as well. After that, Peter starts seeing different kinds of hallucinations. Sometimes he sees his daughter. Sometimes he sees blood-covered people rushing toward him. Sometimes Elizabeth appears in a terrifying form or takes the form of Evie and chases him. All of this combined weakens Peter mentally to such an extent that even in his sleep, he sees Elizabeth chasing him. Unable to bear it anymore, Peter finally goes to the police and truthfully confesses that he is responsible for the train accident. However, he never mentions his friend Barry's name even once. And the strangest part is, the police officer to whom Peter confesses is the daughter of someone who dies in that train accident. That officer's mother is on the train that day. Her name is Hanning. After hearing everything from Peter, Hanning says that Peter will not receive any special punishment for this incident because it happens many years ago and Peter is a minor at that time. So no serious case can be built against him. While looking deeper into the matter, Hanning discovers that the train accident case is investigated back then by Peter's father Bill when he is a police officer. This makes Hanning suspicious. After finding the old case file, Hanning becomes even more convinced that Bill knowingly covers up the entire incident to save his son. Peter also keeps a newspaper clipping from years ago that mentions the accident. When he tries to burn that old paper, surprisingly, the fire extinguishes on its own. No matter how many times he tries, he cannot burn the paper. At that moment, a horrifying sound comes from inside Peter's house. His hands and feet turn cold. He cannot understand why the spirits are still tormenting him even after he confesses everything. Peter moves forward and realizes the sound is coming from the storeroom. As soon as he opens the door and steps inside, the door slams shut behind him. The strange noise grows louder. Peter's entire body freezes in fear. He loses the ability to move. With great difficulty, he turns around and Elizabeth's ghost jumps on him and starts choking him. Everything turns dark. When Peter regains consciousness, he finds himself still inside the storeroom. As he slowly lifts his head, he sees Duncan sitting in front of him holding a torch. In a calm, cold, heavy voice, Duncan says, "So Peter, was your throat squeezed too hard?" Peter asks, "Why are you doing this to me?" "I admit everything. I accept my guilt." Duncan replies, "That's something you should answer, Peter. Why are we still not free? Do you really think whatever you remember is the full truth, or is the real truth still missing from your memory? Tell me, Peter, do you really believe that the train accident happens because of two bicycles? Think again, what do you actually see that day?" Peter loses consciousness again. When he wakes up, he comes out of the storeroom and heads toward the railway crossing at Falls Creek. He stops in front of the old switch tower, the place from where train signals are controlled. Suddenly, he remembers that on that day, he is looking at a toy train in a nearby shop. The toy has a switch tower exactly like this one. Seeing it, Peter becomes absent-minded. The memories Peter intentionally buries start becoming clear. He runs up the stairs of the switch tower and opens the door, and what he sees shakes him to the core. Inside the tower hangs the dead body of his friend Barry. Officer Hanning is immediately informed. She arrives, sees everything, and asks Peter, "After you confess everything to the police, why does your friend commit suicide?" Peter replies, "That day, both of our bicycles are on the tracks, but Barry does not want me to mention his name to the police, so I don't. Why he commits suicide, I don't know." After returning home, Peter looks again at the old newspaper clipping. Suddenly, his eyes fall on a small news item on the back page. It says that after being missing for several days, the body of a schoolgirl named Elizabeth Valentine is also found inside the derailed train. Reading this, something stirs inside Peter. Vague memories from the past begin to surface. He realizes that on that day, he may have seen Elizabeth running toward the railway tracks from a car standing in the jungle. It looks like she's trying to save her life from someone. Peter rushes to the police station and meets Officer Hanning. He tells her everything, that for the past few days he keeps seeing the ghosts of Erica, Felix, and Elizabeth. Those dead souls are trying to remind him of a painful truth from the past that he still cannot fully remember. Hanning does not believe him. Why would she? The idea that dead spirits are trying to remind a man of something sounds unbelievable. She assumes Peter is suffering from mental issues. Receiving no help from Hanning, Peter leaves the station and gets into his car. On the passenger seat, he sees Elizabeth's doll. Peter realizes that at this moment, no one except Elizabeth can help him. Ordinary people like to hear stories about ghosts and spirits only in books, not in real life. At the place where Barry's body is found, the police recover an old school badge. Seeing this, Hanning realizes that Peter's words may not be lies after all. She reopens Elizabeth's case file and sees that no specific reason for her murder is mentioned. Her body is suddenly found inside the derailed train and the case is closed. Hanning also notices that this case is investigated by Peter's father, Bill. Something feels very wrong. A whole train derails because of two bicycles, and a young girl mysteriously dies inside the same train. None of it adds up. Hanning interrogates Bill, but he gives no clear answers. Meanwhile, Peter drives to that deserted place near the railway tracks, the same place he and Barry go to years ago. Placing Elizabeth Valentine's doll in front of him, he begs her spirit to help him remember the memories he forgets. As soon as he says this, Elizabeth's ghost surrounds his car and creates chaos. After a while, she signals Peter to get out and follow her. She leads him through the forest and stops him in front of the switch tower. Once again, scenes from the day of the train accident replay before Peter's eyes like a movie. This time, Peter realizes the truth. That day, young Peter does not see a train first. He sees Elizabeth screaming and running away from a car. It looks like she is escaping to save her life. To find out what happens to her, Peter and Barry chase after her. On the way, Barry loses his path in the forest and goes in another direction. Peter reaches the switch tower, but Elizabeth suddenly disappears. Then 14-year-old Peter hears a scream coming from inside the tower. He runs up the stairs and sees Elizabeth rushing to the window, slamming her hand on the glass, begging for help. Just as young Peter is about to do something, a man comes from behind and grabs Elizabeth by the throat. That man is none other than Peter's father, Bill. Yes, Bill kidnaps and rapes Elizabeth. When she tries to escape, he chases her to the switch tower and attempts to kill her by strangling her. At that exact moment, Elizabeth pulls the railway switch lever inside the tower. As a result, one train track shifts to another, and the approaching train derails, killing all the passengers inside. After killing Elizabeth, Bill places her body among the wreckage with the other dead passengers so that everyone believes she dies in the train accident and no separate investigation takes place. Peter sees this horrifying scene with his own eyes that day, his own father committing such a monstrous crime. The young boy cannot accept this trauma. Using a coping mechanism, Peter slowly erases these memories from his mind. He does not want to remember his father's brutal side or Elizabeth's murder. Instead, Peter creates a false memory that he and Barry leave their bicycles on the tracks while spying on teenagers, causing the train accident. The real truth that Bill rapes and kills Elizabeth and the train derails because of the switch lever disappears from his memory. Now the question arises, why is Barry's body found in the switch tower? There can be two reasons. First, Barry also suppresses these memories. When Peter confesses everything years later, Barry's guilt becomes unbearable and he commits suicide. Second, after hearing the truth from Peter, Barry goes to the switch tower to relive the past and the restless spirits of the train passengers kill him. Either explanation is possible. Now that Peter remembers everything, he tries to call Hanning. At the same time, Bill attacks Hanning with a torch at his house. She loses consciousness. Bill takes her phone and gun, locks her inside the trunk of a police car and parks the car in the garage. Just then Peter arrives. Looking into his father's eyes, he says, "I remember everything now, Dad, the real truth." When Peter calls Hanning's phone, he hears it ringing from his father's pocket. Shocked, Peter realizes Bill has her phone. Bill pulls out the gun and orders Peter to enter the garage quietly. Bill plans to lock Peter inside the garage and take Hanning to a deserted place to kill her. At that moment, Hanning regains consciousness and starts shouting from inside the trunk. Distracted, Bill is attacked by Peter, but Bill strikes Peter on the head with a heavy iron tool. Peter collapses unconscious. Later, Bill ties Peter's hands and feet, puts him in the backseat of the car, and drives toward a deserted place. As the car reaches Falls Creek Crossing, Elizabeth appears in her terrifying form in front of Bill. Terrified, Bill loses control and the car crashes into a metal pole. Peter is thrown out of the car. The vehicle slides and stops in the middle of the railway tracks. Bill tries to start the car, but it does not start. All the doors lock automatically. Elizabeth's spirit wreaks havoc inside the car. Suddenly, the sound of an approaching train is heard. Hanning is still trapped in the trunk and panics. Peter gathers his strength, picks up Hanning's gun lying outside and starts shooting at the trunk lock. One bullet opens the trunk. Another bullet breaks a tree in front of the car. Elizabeth does not let Bill escape. The train comes very close. Peter pulls Hanning away to safety. The train crashes into the car with Bill inside, crushing it completely as it moves forward. The cursed train's passengers scream in joy, as if their souls finally find peace. After the train passes, Peter sees Elizabeth smiling gently at him before disappearing, thanking him for avenging her death. The truth is, a sin never lets go. Guilt eventually destroys the sinner. Finally, the mystery of Peter's recurring dream is revealed. The hunter in his dream is Bill, and the birds are the cursed train passengers who die because of him. Just like Bill hides after committing a terrible crime, the hunter also hides in the dream. Even though Peter forgets the horrific event, its reflection continues to appear in his dreams. This is today's video. If you like it, don't forget to like and share it with your friends.